Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to be talking about workers' compensation hearing, specifically for PA courts training. So again, welcome. This is going to be directed to workers' compensation hearings on settlements from start to finish, specifically again for Pennsylvania courts. So in today's training, we'll be talking about who attends, what are the views of the VRI court hearings, what makes it a high risk hearing, the oaths that are very important, your role as an interpreter, any key terms that you need to know, and small scenarios to give you a little bit of a practice and understand how these appointments are going to take place. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and summarize everything and close out and appreciate you for attending this training. So who attends a workers' compensation hearing? There's a few key people that actually attend. The main people are going to be the interpreter, the claimant, and the judge. The attorney, the court reporter, and the insurance representative sometimes vary. They usually do attend, they sometimes don't, depending on the circumstance. But overall, in this actual case, in this training, we are talking about the interpreter, the attorney, the claimant, the court reporter, the insurance representative, and the judge. So, what makes this a high risk case? In this hearing that we're talking about, these claimants usually, when it becomes a high risk, are giving up few key things. First one is future medical treatment. Second is future benefits. 3 is the right to reopen the case. And lastly, the right to appeal. Overall, once the actual case is approved by the judge, then the case is closed forever and they cannot reopen it at all. They're going to be done. In regards to the actual tip here for interpreters, the interpretation does not need to be accurate, because if you misinterpret something, or if you summarize something, or if you interpret it differently, it does cause issues and it could create a bigger problem for anything with the case, especially for financial or medical. Okay, so be very, very careful with that, as well as the benefits. Alrighty, so we're gonna go straight through to the interpreter oath. As you log in and you are in the actual session, the judge will immediately ask you to raise your right hand and do the oath. So I will go ahead and read the oath. Please note that it would be great if you can start getting familiarized with it so that you can actually interpret it correctly if needed, or also to just be knowledgeable about it. So for the interpreter, you're going to raise your right hand in front of the camera. They need to see this, as well as this is all being recorded and it is live. So make sure you are following these rules. And they will ask, do you swear or affirm that you will faithfully, accurately, and impartially interpret from English language into your native language, in this case, Spanish, and from Spanish or your native language, in this case, into the English language, all communications during this proceeding, using your best skill and judgment without adding, omitting, or altering anything said, and that you will abide by the applicable code of ethics and professional responsibility for court and administrative interpreters. You say, yes, Your Honor. And then once you're done, they will immediately go to the claimant oath. The claimant oath will be done in parts just because they do need to get the claimant's response. So that's when you can put your hand down and you would immediately go ahead and let the the claimant know that they need to raise their right hand. And then the judge will immediately go ahead and start. The judge will then say to the claimant, and this is where you will need to interpret. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You will then interpret that, wait for the claimant's response, respond, yes, Your Honor, and then the judge will continue. Do you further swear or affirm that you will not relay on or testify from any documents other than the compromise and release agreement unless you bring that information to the attention of the court? You will then interpret, wait for the claimant's answer, go back to the judge, yes, Your Honor, you'll respond, and then wait for the judge to continue. The judge will then state the last portion. Do you also swear or affirm that your testimony will not be coached, prompted, or directed by any other person during these proceedings? Go ahead and interpret, wait for the claimant's response, go back to the judge. Yes, Your Honor, that's how you need to respond, and then continue with the interpretation. As the interpretation is going, please make sure as your role, you must be 15 minutes early to every appointment. That is something that the judge is requiring, and that you need to be dressed professionally. Have a black or light blue button-up shirt or blouse. Have your camera on with good lighting and a blank background. Introduce yourself immediately as you are in, to either the claimant, to the attorney, to the judge, to the insurance representative, anybody that needs to know who you are and why you're there. Interpret exactly and accurately everything that is being said. Be professional because this is a court hearing. You are being recorded, it is live. And as always, our main rule, always use first person and always remain neutral. And of course, we want to go ahead and always close our hearings and our virtual appointments in any session by doing our closing statement. Thank you for choosing our services. My name is so-and-so, Interpret ID. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Something along the lines. And then, of course, log out or end the session. Okay? And that is your role for this. Make sure that you are prepared and that you are ready. Okay? This is very essential. As we move on, we're going to talk about the key terminologies that you must master. These, we're going to go into it in the different slides on a little bit more in depth, not too much, but just overall, these are the main ones. First one is court case and hearing terms. Second is settlement and financial terms. Third is rights waiver language. Fourth is medical and liability terms. 5 is employer and insurance terms. 6 is courtroom action phrases. 7 is procedural and control language. And then final is finality and consequence language. As we start off, we have the court case and hearing terms. So these terms appear at the start and throughout the hearing. You'll continue to hear them continuously. So you have to be very knowledgeable about this, and it'll be easier for you to interpret and understand them. So the first one we have is workers' compensation, compromise and release, settlement, hearing, case, matter, judge, on the record, off the record, testimony, record, proceeding. I did go ahead and add the Spanish translation, but again, we will be sending the actual translation of other languages to our other language interpreters so that you also have them available for you. But overall, this is what you would need to be very, very prepared with and in a way memorized and know them. Next, we have settlement and financial terms. So these are the critical terms that you need to be very aware about. And this is what the tip was at the beginning, where this can actually make or break the case. So because it's talking about the money breakdown, okay? This is very important. So here we have settlement amount, lump sum payment, one-time payment, net amount, gross amount, attorney fee, percentage fee, flat fee, distribution, and payment issued. Okay. Mistakes here can actually change the financial understanding and create, again, a make it or break it situation. So to prevent that, we're asking you again to be very prepared, be knowledgeable about this, start memorizing these, and start being more attentive to the actual terms that are being used. Okay, next we have rights waiver language. This is the most sensitive part of the entire hearing because this is where the claimant or the person who is injured, the employer that was injured, is entering with their actual rights. Okay, so we have waive and waiver. Okay, right to appeal, waive appeal, give up rights, future claims, reopen case, case is closed, financial statement, full and final and legal consequences. Okay. Never ever try and summarize or soften or paraphrase these actual terms. They need to be stated directly as it's being said. Okay. Or else, again, this is where you can make or break the case. And we don't want to confuse anybody or create issues. So please, again, be very prepared. Start memorizing these. Start getting accustomed to the type of terminology that they're using. All right, moving along, we have medical and liability terms. Okay. This is going to appear with the judge's explanation. Okay. Sometimes doctors and other people might chime in, but overall, this is what will be stated and are the main core terminologies or words. We have medical treatment, future medical treatment, medical expenses, medical responsibility, financial responsibility, reasonable and necessary treatments, treatment throughout today, and then coverage. Okay. Next, we have employer and insurance terms. So these are to identify parties. This is who is in the actual VRI session. As you remember at the beginning, we had the interpreter, we had the judge, we have the claimant, we have the voice recorder person, we had the insurance representative. So again, these are just the identifying parties. Okay. So first we have employer, then insurance carrier, defendant, claimant, petitioner, counsel and attorney, and then representation. Sometimes the judge will say counsel in regards to everybody that's actually attending. Again, the insurance representative could also be the insurance carrier. The employer is also the person who is the, I guess, the person in charge of the employee. And then, of course, we have the claimant, who is the employee who's under the employer. And then, of course, representation is also a general term. So just kind of, again, be aware of these terms and also the identifying people, their title. Okay. That's also going to be very essential as you continue to take on these appointments. All right. So now we're going to move into the courtroom's action phrases. So these are where sometimes the judge documents and a lot of things that they need to go through with the actual claimant to be able to conclude the actual hearing. So some of those fast-paced phrases are, do you understand? Is that correct? Do you agree? Is this your signature? You were injured on? Any questions? I will approve the agreement. So again, be knowledgeable about this, continue to work on things. All right, next we have procedural and controlled language. So this is where your role as the interpreter also falls in and also be able to be at the same level as the rest of the setting that is happening. So for the record is one of the good way to continue the conversation and also elevate your speech. One moment, please. Please proceed. Please proceed slowly. I will interpret now. Interpretation is complete. Please proceed with the next question. The last two, I think, are the most essential just because sometimes the judge does wait. Also, the attorney waits. And to ensure that they're understanding that you're done, you can always say interpretation is complete. Or if they need to continue to move things along because the claimant is just nodding their head or they're not answering, you can also step in and say, please proceed with the next question. But again, make sure that even if they nod their head and stuff, you're saying yes, you're answering for them, and you're continuing the conversation. All right. Next, we have finality and consequence language. This is where the case is actually finalized. So the terms here are final approval, court approval, case closed, binding agreement, permanent closure, no further action. Okay. All right, so how to handle real situations. So this is where we're going to go into a little bit of the grind and get a little bit of your blood flowing. So with the first scenario, it's about a waiver language, okay? The judge could say, are you willing to waive your rights of appeal? Sometimes the judge will say it smoothly, sometimes they'll be fast. So again, make sure you do not summarize. You're saying the full actual sentence and phrase. I did go ahead and provide the Spanish version of it, but again, we will be providing the other language interpreters with their native language. Okay, we'll continue. Next scenario, it's a complex legal language. The judge could say, you cannot return to court or for future benefits. Again, do not summarize. Make sure you do it exactly as how they said it. Again, we're trying to be neutral and also interpret in first person. Okay. Scenario 3, financial terms. The judge will say you'll receive a lump sum payment of $150,000 and your attorney will receive 20%. Sometimes, the amount can change. The fees could change. This is just a scenario. Again, interpret everything exactly as it needs to say. Okay, this is where you make it or break it kind of situation. You don't want to summarize and have a case be different than what it should be. Next, we have scenario 4, medical responsibility. The judge could say, future medical treatments will be your responsibility. Again, do not summarize. Say it exactly as it needs to say. This is also a make it or break it situation. This is a very sensitive part because it is medical treatment. Scenario 5, we have final approval language. So this is where you can come in and use your knowledge and your wording as well to interpret. But the judge could say, I find that the claimant understands the agreement and I will approve the settlement. You can go in and interpret exactly what is being said. All right, moving along, we have commonly mistakes that we want to prevent when you're interpreting in these settings. Because again, I do want to reinforce it and have you guys be very aware. You are in a court setting. This is a live scenario. It's being recorded. It is in regards to a hearing, okay? So let's just look a little bit of the common errors here that we want to prevent. Instead of saying, do you agree? You can go ahead and state, are you willing to waive your rights to appeal? Okay. Another one is, the case ends today. You don't want to say that. You don't want to summarize. Instead, you can say, this is a full and final settlement. Okay. Also, it sounds more professional. You're also matching the same setting and the terminology. Next, we have saying for this, you can pay in the future. Instead, we want you to say something along the lines of, future treatment will be your financial responsibility. Okay. Again, I did go ahead and add the Spanish version, which is on the right-hand side. We will go ahead and work on this and send you guys this in other languages as well. Alrighty. So as we're coming to the close, I appreciate your time. As we are finalizing this, this is the final proceeding where rights are permanently waived. Okay. So your job here to ensure everything is accurate is also completeness, keeping it neutral and also having professionalism as you're interpreting. And again, enforcing it, be prepared. Okay. As we continue to close, we're going to go ahead and summarize everything that we have just spoken about. So for this training, you need to remember that workers' compensation is actually the final legal proceedings when an injured worker actually agrees to settle to permanently close this case. Okay, in this process, the claimant is receiving a lump of money, giving up their rights, waiving their rights to reopen the case, and sometimes they're often waiving the right to appeal, and also makes every word spoken in this hearing legally significant. As the interpreter, your responsibility is very clear. Again, you must interpret exactly what is being said, completely without omitting, and also without adding, changing, or simplifying anything or summarizing. If you're not explaining, summarizing, or guiding anything, you're ensuring that your interpretation is accurate with the communication on record. Again, you also took the oath, so you are complying with this, and you are stating that you will interpret everything accurately. Throughout the hearing, you will encounter a lot of legal terminology related to settlement and waive rights. So please make sure you follow through with the glossaries that we've created for you and the terminology that's there. Have a financial breakdown, such as any type of lump sum payments and attorney fees. Be knowledgeable about that. You can Google that as well. Medical responsibility statements about future treatments and final approval for language, and permanently close the case. These are areas required for high level accuracy because they directly affect legal rights. Okay. You will also be expected to manage the flow of communication professionally by requesting repetition if needed, which we actually ask not to unless the case is getting too crazy or too heated. Please make sure you go ahead and take the stand and say, can you please reiterate that, or can you repeat that, Judge? Again, keeping it neutral, professional. Asking speakers to slow down, ensuring that one person speaks at a time. Usually they're very professional with this. We don't really need to repeat it too much. They already know how we work. They already know what an interpreter is. It's not a foreign language for them or foreign knowledge. So this is just as a reminder if you need to step in. It's not needed for you to do it all the time. And then again, finally, always remember, this is not a casual conversation. This is not just a regular over the phone or VRI appointment. This is a legal proceeding. You need to understand that everything must be precise, complete, and fully on record. Okay. So accuracy, fairness, clarity, and legal validity for all parties is involved. Thank you so much for watching this. Hope you have a great day.